Daf Yomi, Tractate, Bava, page 117b. Continuing on with the words Veneer Daf Shibar Esakalim. Okay, maybe it's a good idea to start from a little bit above that. There's a story. Okay, let's start from a few lines above there. Hahu Gavra de Akdim. So we get the whole idea. Okay. The Gemara relates another incident. There was a certain man who hastened and brought his donkey aboard a ferry. Before other people boarded the ferry, the donkey began to move around and was about to cause the boat to sink. The donkey began to move around and was about to cause the boat to sink. A certain other man came and pushed the donkey of that first man into the river, and it drowned. The case came before Rabbah, and Rabbah exempted him from payment. Abaye said to him, "But this individual is saving himself with another's property, and he should therefore be liable to pay." Rabbah said to him, "This owner of the donkey was considered a pursuer from the outset, as he endangered the other travelers." Pursuer, rodef, which means basically he was causing trouble. He was pursuer, one who causes harm. It is permitted to stop a pursuer by any means necessary, including by destroying his property. The Gemara notes that Rabbah conforms to his standard line of reasoning. As Rabbah says, in the case of a pursuer who was chasing after another in order to kill him, and the pursuer broke vessels during the chase, whether they belonged to the pursued party or to anyone else, he is exempt from reimbursing the owner of the vessels. This is because he is liable to receive the death penalty for attempted murder and is consequently exempt from any monetary liability he incurs simultaneously. I think this line needs explanation. If someone attempts to kill somebody and is not successful, I don't know if they have the death penalty, but basically in this situation, he had tried to kill him and already he was still in that proximity, he was in that realm of death penalty because he was already trying to kill. So there was probably some kind of statute of limitations to the time amount, but if someone goes in and burglarizes somebody, the person who owns the house is allowed to kill him. But I don't know how long. There must be some kind of time limit on how long that is. I mean, it can't go for days and days. He's chasing him, across town and chasing here. Finally, after 2 weeks, he kills him. No, I don't think that's. But that's a different story. Anyway. And a pursued individual who broke the vessels of the pursuer is also exempt from payment, as the pursuer's property shall not be cherished more than his body, in other words, his life. Since it is permitted to kill the pursuer in order to save his intended victim, it is permitted to destroy his property for that purpose. But if he destroyed property belonging to anyone else, he is liable to reimburse them, as it is prohibited for him to save himself with another's property. And with regard to a pursuer who is chasing after another pursuer in order to save the latter's intended victim, meaning the victim, and he broke vessels during the chase, whether they belong to the pursued individual, in other words, the individual attempting murder, or to anyone else, he is exempt from payment. The Gemara notes, and this is not the halakha by Torah law, but if you do not say so, you will not have any person that saves another from a pursuer in order to encourage people to attempt to save the lives of others. The sages instituted that one who damages another's property in the process of saving a life is exempt from payment. The Mishnah: if a river flooded a misappropriated field, the robber may say to its owner, "That which is yours is before you, and no compensation is required. Since the field would have been flooded in any case, the robber has not caused the damage to the field, and therefore is exempt. Okay, Mishnah. This Mishnah is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 words, the whole Mishnah. Wow, I've never seen such a short Mishnah. Excuse me. If a river flooded a misappropriated field, the robber may say to its owner, "That which is yours is before you," and no compensation is required, since the field would have been flooded in any case. The robber has not caused damage to the field and is therefore exempt. Okay. Gemara says, the sages taught, in the case of one who robbed a field from another and a river then flooded it, the robber is liable to provide the field's owner with a different field. This is the statement of Rabbi Elazar. And the rabbis say he is exempt from doing so, as he can say to the owner, excuse me, "That which is yours is before you." But my kamiflagi, the Gemara analyzes this dispute with regard to what do they disagree. The Gemara explains, Rabbi Elazar interpreted the verses, if anyone sin and commits a trespass against the Lord and deals falsely with his neighbor in a matter of deposit, or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore it in full. Leviticus 5:21-24. According to the hermeneutical principle of amplifications and restrictions, the phrase, if anyone sin and commit a trespass against the Lord and deal falsely with his neighbor, is an amplification. When the verse states in a matter of deposit, it has restricted the halakha to the case of a deposit. When the verse states, or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore it in full, it has then amplified the halacha again. Accordingly, as the Torah amplified and then restricted, riba umiyat v'riba, amplified, riba, and restricted, and then amplified again, it has amplified the halacha to include everything, with only a single exception. And what is included due to the fact that the verse has amplified the halacha? The verse has amplified the halacha to include everything that one steals. And umay miyat shtaros. And what is excluded due to the fact that the verse restricted the halacha? It restricted the halacha in order to exclude financial documents, which are dissimilar to a deposit, in that their value is not intrinsic, but rather due to their function. Consequently, according to Rabbi Elazar, land that was stolen is included in the halachot stated in these verses, and one who steals land must reimburse the field's owner. And the rabbis interpreted these verses according to the hermeneutical principle of generalizations and details. The phrase, "and deal falsely with his neighbor," is a generalization, while the subsequent phrase, "in a manner of deposit," is a detail. When the verse then states, or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore it in full, it has then generalized again in a case of a generalization and a detail and a generalization. You may deduce that the verse is referring only to items similar to the detail. Accordingly, just as the detail, that is, a deposit, is movable property and has intrinsic monetary value, so too the verse includes anything that is movable property and has intrinsic monetary value. Consequently, land has been excluded as it is not movable property. Slaves have been excluded as they are compared to land with regard to many areas of halakha. Financial documents have been excluded because although they are movable property, they do not have intrinsic monetary value. The Gemara asks, and there is that which is taught in the Braita, in the case of one who robbed another of a cow and a river washed it away, the robber is liable to provide the owner with a new cow. This is the statement of Rabbi Elazar, and the rabbis say the robber can say to the owner, that which is yours is before you, and he could consequently be exempt. The Gemara asks, there in the Braita, with regard to what do they disagree? The rationale offered previously cannot apply, as a cow is movable property and has intrinsic value. Yet Rabbi Elazar and the rabbis still disagree. Rav Papa said, there, with what are we dealing? We are dealing with a case where he had robbed another of a field, and there was